The tempo was manic and the stadium was throbbing, as they had turned the amp up to 11 at Tottenham's new Sound Garden. Yet when it came to the key decision of a frenetic night of Champions League football, it was all about the cold, passion-killing slow-mo logic of VAR. Group Newspapers Ltd VAR was at the heart of the Champions League after a Rose handball. This is the modern world, where a defender, Danny Rose, slips and looks for all the world as though he is attempting to move his arm away from a shot from Raheem Sterling, yet is deemed to have been caught red-handed. One Dutch official, Danny McNulty, in his truck with his remote control and his Deliveroo takeaway, alerted his mate Bjorn Kuipers to a possible handball. Kuipers then headed to the pitch side monitor, leaving 60,000 paying punters in the dark, and decided that he'd made a clear and obvious mistake in not awarding a penalty in the first place. Some in the refereeing fraternity claimed the officials got it right. Most in the footballing brotherhood begged to differ. That Sergio Aguero was a little too casual with his 11th-minute spot kick and Hugo Lloris plunged to his left to save it seemed to do justice to the spirit of the night as much as anything. But it left you feeling certain that many more penalties will be awarded next season when VAR is introduced into the Premier League, not least for handball. Pochettino admits Harry Kane's injury doesn't look good as Guardiola looks ahead to second-leg slow-mo drama. Almost anything seems to look more dramatic and more criminal in slow motion. Whatever the pros and cons of technology and decision-making, it will certainly change the nature of the game. Technology will do that to any game. When Son Heung-min fired Tottenham's first leg winner, celebrations were cut short again, while ManUtd checked for offside and then whether the ball had gone out for a goal kick before the South Korean turned back and drilled past Ederson. Had either of those fractional calls gone the other way, we'd have had a whole new world of controversy and acrimony. But Spurs got their deserved win and are now closer to being in the last four of the European Cup than at any time since 1962. This is a damned good result in the first leg of a European tie. Not that any knockout tie in this elite competition is ever over at the halfway stage, even when the deficit is 3 or 4 goals. These are the only two clubs left in the competition never to have lifted this massive old pot, and the sense of occasion was obvious to any eardrum in the postcode. Bjorn Kuipers had the incident checked out on VAR in North London. It was loud for the opening against Crystal Palace last week, but this time the decibel levels had been upped even further. The vast white wall to the south of the stadium held up 17,000 blue and white carrier bags spelling out, "To dare is to do," and while that is Tottenham's age-old motto, this place certainly seems to have emboldened them further. At this stage of last season's competition, City had taken a battering inside and outside Anfield. Their team bus was attacked by Liverpool fans and then the KOP seemingly intimidating them as they surrendered 3 early goals. Spurs might have hoped for something similar given the Metallica gig acoustics here, and Pochettino's men were in City's faces early on, feeding off the din. City, in their weird Ulster loyalist orange sashes, were in no surrender mode, however. And after Dele Alli sent a spectacular volley over the bar from the edge of the box, we had the 11th-minute VAR controversy as England star Sterling skipped across the edge of the box and let fly and Rose slipped. Lloris, who has been veering wildly between heroism and villainy all season, sent a new level of energy around the stadium with his save. Danny Rose was at the center of another VAR farce because the Champions League is now being refereed differently. Law 12 currently states handball has to be a deliberate act, but UEFA's referee chief Robert Rossetti has told his officials to penalize any unnatural position if the ball strikes the arm in the area. Although Bjorn Kuipers' decision against Rose was contrary to the law for a deliberate handball, you could argue it was correct according to Rossetti's directives. I do not believe Rose's arm was in an unnatural position. He threw his body in the way of the ball. And it was not a clear and obvious error, so why has the VAR got involved anyway? We don't want to see game-changing decisions in this manner. That is not what VAR is there for. It is at least pleasing to see referees making the final decision by viewing the monitor, something we do not see in England and will not next season. Harry Kane, who had been dropping deep frequently, and was in particularly magnificent passing form, had a snapshot beaten away by Ederson. Aymeric Laporte was booked for a foul on Dele Alli, while Nicolas Otamendi, preferred to John Stones, was being given the runaround by Kane. And Kyle Walker, returning to his former club, suffered the embarrassment of being nutmegged by his old mucker Rose's Spurs forced a corner. But there was to be no first-half breakthrough. Son curled one agonizingly wide soon after the break. And then came the moment when every Spurs fan feared the worst as Kane hopped down the tunnel clutching his ankle after Fabian Delph fell on him by the touchline. Yet no matter how well Kane has been playing, and he has been playing extremely well, Spurs seem to have been better off without him of late. Harry Kane hobbles off after sustaining injury against Man City. That freakish state of affairs was underlined when Son brought the big new house down here for a second.